Hey guys, what is up? This is your boy Joe Punter, and we're starting off with another episode of Creation Station. If any of you managed to watch the last episode, you know we caught up quite well with Scarhaven Temple, and we built a market, as you see right here. The market was sort of built up just so you could get food and stuff to sustain the life in the temple, as it's quite solitary there. However, we only really built half of it. The idea was to build sort of a shipyard area with a lighthouse and almost sort of like a very small sort of marketplace, but a proper trade centre, you could say. However, we only built half of it, the market, and so with today's episode I plan to do a lot more in terms of improving the area. As you can see, the market there is still there as usual. We've added a couple of certificates, I've got the names down for a second, who will keep saying their goods, and they need some sort of ships to come in to deliver those goods for them to sell, and that's where we start off today. So to start off, before I got into the ships or anything like that, I thought it would be best to start with something sort of like a lighthouse. As you can see, the idea changed quite quickly as we came across some issues, but the idea was to build a lighthouse. I've built towers of similar size before in my time, if any of you watched my previous episodes, but nowhere have they sort of become to something as architecturally strong as this, because I'd really had to try and make this look good. This was going to be the first thing people would see. This would be the first thing that people would look at if they came out to this market, and it'd be this gigantic lighthouse to guide ships to the way to the dock at night. So I started off with building this sort of circular slide pillar. For those of you who want to know how to draw the circles, I've heard of a few people ask this, but it's not really particularly difficult. I heard that you can put it on Google and it'll give you all the sort of dimension you can use to do that. So yeah, I basically used this 3 by 3 with a little corner bit in between the building tower, and then I went up by 2 for the stem, so it enlarges out. And then, as you can see, I use birch wood planks for the stem of what is going to be the actual outlooking of the lighthouse. And as you can see right at the top there, I use spruce stairs to build the actual roof. However, I have some slight difficulty because, with me being quite picky in terms of getting everything ordered and right, I had to try and get all the wood to connect together, as that's part of one of the latest patches anyway. You can connect them all together. So never again will I have to use just a plank of wood there, and then makes it look all out of shape and all that sort of stuff. Unfortunately, this created quite a lot of problems because it's really hard to get them all to go right. As you can see here, I've been trying to connect them all. I'm literally just breaking blocks left and right just to get them all to connect. So as much as you think building this roof should have been really easy, it was actually quite difficult in the end. However, I wasn't going to let that stop me. I was going to just, move on and try and get through as best I can, which I did. Towards the top, as you'll see in a minute, I didn't want to just go for a straight peak. You may not be able to see it right there, but I basically placed some wood planks down and I had a little bit more of a flat roof on the inside, and then I squared it all together to make this sort of very quick dome effect. I didn't want to go completely all pointy. Once I placed the point of the roof on top, I wanted to come down, make sure I got everything else right in order. Now, unfortunately, this is a little bit out of camera view, but I'll explain to you best I can. I basically just put a flag on top, and again, it was sort of similar to how the markets were done, trying to mix different colours with different colours, try and get some nice bit of contrast between them. I think I chose blue and yellow for the colours, again, made them look like they were striped. Hopefully you'll be able to see it in a better angle soon. Now, you can see me right here building the fences around the edge of it, and you can see me right now actually trying to build what is going to be sort of the lighthouse, the light that will shine its way through the seas. However, I had a little bit of difficulty doing that because even with shaders, the light will not be bright enough at night. It's not going to really be that glorious. So at first I did try to build sort of a glass dome with light glowstone. However, that didn't exactly work as well as I intended. So the next idea was to build sort of an old-fashioned lighthouse, which is basically just a big huge fire pit. However, as I realised, and as I told you earlier, fire instantly destroys wood. It's quite a known fact. And I've had trouble with this before when I've been building buildings and I want to mix lava in it or something, and normally I'd make it out of wood and it all burns and so it all just goes terrible. Basically ends up on me crying. But so I try to think maybe if I build a dome over the fire pit it might not burn the roof, and I quickly build it, and you can quickly see that there was actually fires that I had to put out. So in the end I thought, okay, well it's not a big deal, I mean it's just there for show, I mean what can you do, right? So what I did instead was just put a glowstone in the middle and a couple of torches around and make it look like there was smoke coming out of it. Then I placed torches in the corners right at the top of the stems, just so to give it as much light as possible. I may look in the future if there is such things like sort of a lighthouse mod where you can add some sort of rotating bulb or something like that, which would be great. That would just be exactly what I'm looking for. But until then, I'm happy just to settle for this. Now you can see that I'm building, I do this with quite a couple of my buildings, even Skyrim and Temple has some similar characteristics to this, is when I enlarge part of a tower I normally put a wooden frame around the edge, and then I build the different length stems, you could say, along the corners just to give it a little bit of depth and texture. You see me now building a small little sort of banner, again similar to the thing I have at market, same colours as the flag. In terms of the windows, I wasn't exactly sure what the windows were going to look like, so I basically just decided to put wooden fences in them instead of glass. Couldn't really see glass in the lighthouse for some reason, it just wouldn't sink in for me. But the wooden fences did their job and it made the lighthouse look just fine. Now lastly, I was looking at around the bottom over it, and unfortunately, due to how that little island, which is natural by the way, it was like that, I thought it looks a bit silly with it not being sort of insecure with the island. So I used cobblestone to sort of stem it into the ground, and placed wooden spur steps around the edge to go with the theme of me using spurs. I kind of was getting a bit sick of using the original oak wood steps or oak wood planks for everything, so I wanted to try and mix it up a little bit more, and you'll see me later on using it. In terms of interior and ways getting up there, I haven't done that just yet. I imagine I have to, but it's not exactly on my top priorities. It's basically just maybe a necessity if I do want to make this venture map, but maybe it could be used for something. I mean, I haven't built it, I should make use of it. Now another day begins and another start for the build, and today what I was going to do was build a bridge to get to the lighthouse. However, as much as I've built bridges before, I wanted to try and do something distinctive and different, and something that could be unique about it. I wanted the bridge there to be sort of as unique as the lighthouse itself, with similar themes of course. So as you can see me right now, I'm marking out places where I'm going to put sort of the underwater stems, well the stems that will go underwater, that will support the bridge. And I messed around with a few ideas on what to do it. As you can see, I was going with this whole fence thing that I was going to put on the front side, like on the top side. But I also thought maybe that would be quite cool if I did it on the bottom side as well. And yeah, it looked quite nice. I was quite happy with the result. As you can see, I just built the stems right down, especially there. So I just marked out where I was going to place them. In a minute, I think you'll see me change them a little bit more because. Especially with this sort of bridge, I thought it was getting a bit too layering in terms of really being different. You know, you wanted to recognise it's just not just a bridge, but just, you know, one that you could sort of see typically in normal life. So you do seem to change it just slightly, but only later will you know see that. Right now I'm doing the same thing on the other side, making sure that I've got all the stems in place and going down. You might be able to see me underwater swimming with the squids there. Next I had a slight problem in terms of these fences in between. As much as I thought they were nice, it just looked a bit plain and boring. So what I did was I switched up by using the spur steps again, but instead of using them like just blocks, I actually just turned them upside down, so it looks like there was a little bit of texture going on down there. For the stems, I didn't exactly do much at the bottom because in my mind the shaders wouldn't be in there, so you wouldn't actually see the bottom. And I know it's again, that really sort of poor creators wall where you just don't really do anything in terms of There's some builders I see, like Shin on the Yogscast and some other people I watch, who kind of leave like the interior and other stuff out. And as much as I try not to do it, because to be honest it's really boring and you guys don't really want to see it, so I'll try and get that done if the adventure map does get made, but until then it's just not something you'll be interested in. So, and in a little bit of just make do lighting for tonight. I'm getting a bit sick of changing it today, and plus it, you know, watching it at night gives it a little bit more of a, you know, nice look about it. I do quite like the shaders actually, to be honest. So as you can see me now, I'm sort of building the wooden fences on the top side now, because that was the original idea, and I wanted to get some sort of formal lighting done now while I'm here, and I could have torches, but you know, everyone uses those. I did try and make good use out of glowstone. So what I did was I built this wooden line around the top that lines and connects with each one, and in between the middle of each of them there is a glowstone, or a lamp as it looks like in the texture pack. So once I had the gist of that done, I couldn't really finish it off until I understand where the actual bridge was going. So I built this little point you might be able to see in the left here, which is pointing diagonally, because I'm not a big fan of diagonal bridges or diagonal roads or anything diagonal in general, but unfortunately I needed to get it to sort of curve around and go towards the market. So as you can see now, I did change all the spurs stairs into oak. Now as much as I did say I want to try and use spurs as much as possible, unfortunately just like oak it does seem to get a bit bland after a while, so I do find mixing both of them together makes it look quite nice. Next you can see around the end, the entrance towards the lighthouse, I've started to pillar, you could say pillar, sort of curve the wooden fences so it meets up with the actual top line or where the glowstone is. Just again something to add a little bit of effect into it. So next, after I've done that, I couldn't really build any further until I got this diagonal bridge done. And unfortunately I can't stand diagonal bridges, so if I seem a bit slow in terms of building it, I'm sorry, I'm not really a big fan when it comes to diagonal bridges or anything like that. Unfortunately it's just the game, and you know, you could play on and get as good as what you want at it, but when it comes to diagonals it is a real mind, I was going to swear then, a little bit of a mind puzzle you got to deal with. So I built a little bit towards where I was going to go. As long as I had the direction, I was pretty much fine. Next, if any of you have seen me build the walls, or let me show you a bit around in my previous episodes, I normally have this thing about, instead of when you go and turn into a different direction on the road or a wall or a bridge, or in this case a bridge, I wanted to build some sort of gazebo to sort of point it in the right direction, kind of left, and leading its way towards the market. Plus, you know, it's a nice little feature that you can sort of add to the whole lighthouse thing, and it makes it look nice. And as you can see here, when it comes to this diagonal road, it's just like, it completely puzzled me so much. I literally had to get rid of part of the diagonal road just so I could actually build a gazebo, because it was just messing with me that much. And I basically just didn't build it right. So you see me knocking fences down thinking, well, I haven't got this right. All the fences won't go up in place and stuff. So once I figure out the problem and what I've done wrong, everyone's human, I built it the same circular, it's actually the same sort of circular pattern of the lighthouse actually, believe it or not. And then I started to do the similar thing I did with the roof of the lighthouse, which is instead of this time using oak planks and spur stairs, I keep trying to connect all the stairs to go up. And the only difference this time is, once you look at it, you'll see it's a bit more, not just sort of circular, it's gone into this sort of very, it looks like a plus in some ways, like a little plus sign. I wanted to do the similar sort of thing I did for the gazebo down the entrance to the actual temple itself. It wasn't exactly the same, but it was similar in size and then style. So with the gazebo finally done, I can actually connect the road and get it on, starting actually doing it. A little bit of frame rate problems there. So as soon as I got all the fences set up, I decided to edit it a little bit, placing oak slabs around the edge, you know, just for detailed texture, even along the wall. And I thought, if I'm using oak slabs, I've got to use stairs for sort of the barriers of it. And obviously you could use fences, but again, it's the rule of Minecraft. You can't really do it in a nice way diagonally. The stairs look fine, to be honest. You don't really notice a difference with it. I mean, it looks fairly similar to fences in a weird way when it's diagonal, so it sort of suits. It's the best way you can really make out of it. So with that done, I connected the sort of archway bit of the fence for the bridge, and there we go, that's us done. I made a couple of little changes around the bottom, so you know it actually looks like it's sunk into the land. But here we are, there we go, the final result. There it is. The gazebo you see here, the diagonal bridge, which actually looks quite nice actually, in fairness, and the bridge, which looks amazing. I was actually quite proud of myself. It was a little bit of a mind puzzle, but if I saw myself put the effort into it, I made a much more better effort out of it. Now for the part you've all been waiting for. I had to build this sort of a docking way, you know, because obviously I put out pirate ship, listen to me, Pirates of the Caribbean talking here, or a ship of any kind, trade ship, whatever. It couldn't just park up onto the land, it needed sort of a dock to go on. Now I didn't do anything specifically fancy when it came to the dock, so I thought, well, it's not really this is not really going to be the pirate one's going to be wild about, it's going to be the ships, and I'm going to really put my effort into it. So I built this just 5 wide sort of stretch of wood, stretch it along the edge here, built with a sort of a mixture of both spruce wood and oak planks. And as you can see here, I'm building this sort of staircase in a similar fashion, using spruce stairs and oak wood with oak planks. Don't ask me why, but I feel like I had to build a second stairway next to the first one, just in case, you know, you want to use the other one for God knows what reason. But again, stuff like that, it may not look like much, but it's adding character to it, and it's really hard to get that in terms of some sort of build that you are trying to do. Anything strange or abnormal or makes it look more real, believe it or not, or I seem to find anyway. So as you can see me again, if you look underwater, I'm trying to build this, again, sort of strads or poles to hold out. Obviously you don't need to in Minecraft, but logically in my mind you need it there. Nothing special about it, I just did a straight pole down with some sand downstairs near the top. As you can see to your right, I'm building a diagonal road because, again, unfortunately I have to do one. And I do feel once you've got a diagonal road right, it does make it look nicer. So you might be able to see here that I've done another problem when it comes to diagonals, is that when you do diagonals it's actually not wide enough. You have to make sure it's like an extra wider than you think it is. So that may look wider to you, but that's actually the right amount of size just to get through it, with fences as well included. So as you can see here, I mean, if you watch in a minute once I've started building most of it, and on the other side as well, you see how tight it is. So you do normally have to build one extra wider diagonally to make up for it. And now finally to the biggest challenge that I think I've ever had to do for a long while, is actually the ship. Now, I have never had any experience in building any sort of pirate ship or any trade ship of any kind, and you know, anyone could really do it, I imagine, but you know, I want to try and do good. I want to hold to sort of my experience of knowing that I can build on this and actually build some great stuff. So I started off by going out quite wide, wider than usual, because I thought even if I'm too far out, I can always bring that closer with where they're eventually, or I can just build like sort of a little follow-away platform from the dock to there. So it wasn't a major problem. I built this sort of 5 wide stretch of wood first, and then I sort of went up one because I wanted to try and get a nice curvature on it. But as you can see, I was worried that, I made it too long, or I haven't made it long enough. But trust me, you'll see sooner or later I soon change that. Now as you can see here, you're probably thinking, what on earth was I doing just there? Well, basically what I'm doing now is I'm trying to get this sort of curvature right, where it all sort of cones together for the front of the ship. Now I tried to get sort of the best sort of arc I could, and I think I did okay, but again later on you will see me change that. So once I decided this would do finally, I wanted to, well basically let me give you a bit of backstory here. I'm quite a huge Pirates of the Caribbean fan, and really majorly. I do have all the films. I know it sounds quite sad for an 18-year-old, but they're just one of those films I love. And for all the boats that I've seen, I wanted to get sort of like a model of like one of the British executor ships. They always have that sort of flat slide at the back of the bottom, and then they have this sort of box-shaped sort of cabin where, like, I don't know, like where the captain would have his quarters, that sort of thing. That was the idea anyway. Now as you can see here, down the front, I was building sort of the shape of it, because I thought I'm going to have real major trouble with this. I knew I was. I thought it'd be best to build the arc sort of shape of it first before anything else. However, as you can see, I did think while I was building it, as much as I had the arc sort of shape right, I realised how wide that's going to be. It's going to be more closer to Noah's Ark than an actual pirate ship like the Black Pearl or something. So I realised in the end that this is way too wide. In fact, you see me right now building what's going to be the sort of main floor of the ship, and I'm thinking that's just way too wide. Unless I made that a lot more bigger ship, that is just not what I'm looking for. So now I basically just knocked it all down. You don't know how much it made me hurt to do that, but I'd knock it all down. I lowered it into the water one, so it seemed a little bit more fitted into the water, and I built again. And this time what I did was I knocked 2 blocks off each width size. So basically it was 2 on the left, 2 on the right from the middle, so it was basically 4 taken down in total. And it seems a lot more tighter, but that's what I wanted. I didn't want it to be stupidly wide like maybe another ship I might do. But for this one I wanted it to be sort of fairly skinny with sort of a cabin area. So I wanted to make it big enough to hold a cabin but not too wide, so it's more like Noah's Ark. So once I was happy with the size, I started building the main floor of the ship. Make sure I was happy with the size of it was. Now you can see me building the back of it here. Now I was going to decide on just going flat, but I thought again it would be better to have as much sort of depths and textures as much as possible to make it seem a bit more real. So I thought, considering I've got the floor of the ship plan, I thought it should, best started on the actual back cabin bit, the box I was talking about earlier that you see in the back of the ships. And I thought as soon as I get that out of the way, everything will start to piece together a little bit better. So I basically went from the back, nice back part of the ship, and basically went up about 3 away from that part. And it looked good. The idea was there, but it was not as big as I wanted it to be. Remember, this could be the captain's quarters. This is where he's going to be making all these big news and make all these trade routes and all that sort of stuff. So it wasn't exactly big enough for him. So once I was happy with the size of it, as you can see, I even went more forward, being as greedy as I can. I filled in the roof of it, and I was quite happy with it. At the top, that's where the actual running of the ship's going to be, where the Captain Joe, will run the ship with his wheel. There aren't any wheels in Minecraft, but I'll improvise something later. In terms of the cabin, I wanted to put some actual windows in, so as you'll see in a minute, I wanted to make this a little bit more wider to suit the actual theme of the ship, make the barriers a little bit more wider so I can have more room. There's me filling out all the edges there, making sure it's all right as best I can. So that's with me done. For the back of the ship, I decided to put some more windows in the actual captain's quarters. I chose to use a glass pane, again just to add as much texture as possible to make the ship seem more real. And trust me, when the ship's finished, that box part really just gives it away to being a great looking ship. So here's me just touching up a little bit more here. I decided, trying to remember that from our Pirates of the Caribbean days, that they always have this sort of back face where the actual driving of the wheel, I don't know what you call it, the shaft of the wheel or something, where you drive it with the wheel. And they always have sort of a back panel normally, something like the Black Pearl. And I don't know what it's for. Maybe it's to stop them from getting shot by a cannon from behind or something. But I thought I'd put that in anyway because it looked quite nice once I was done with it. So it was stuck. It was stuck for me. Now right now you can see me trying to sort of figure out how I'm going to curl the piece of this together. Now at the moment I'm literally just thinking, right, how am I going to do this and not make it look terrible? So I try to curl as best I can to sort of get the shape I wanted. I didn't want to go too much because I wanted part of it to look like a naval ram. If any of you've played Assassin's Creed 3 or looked at Assassin's Creed 4, there was a major sort of deal on naval battles, and the one thing I loved about it was that you could just ram in other ships, and I feel like this should have the same thing. It should have a front part of it that sticks out, and that's going to be the main part where it just rams into other ships if necessary. So once I was happy with the shape of the sort of curvature, I built up one more layer extra because I wanted this part to be sort of a thing that you climb up on. Not climb up on, but step up one more layer for, again, to add some more depth to the actual trade ship. Once I was happy with that, I built barriers around the edge. As soon as I was finished doing some underwater decorating, I built the barriers along the edge like you see here. And next I was trying to see how I could sort of fit the rest of the ship to make it look a little bit more curvature with the rest, because obviously it was flat and again this was diagonal, and like I say about diagonals, it's always tricky. See, as you can see by the right at the front here, I was trying to figure out how I could do this naval ram. And basically I just put fence in sort of the middle. Again, it looked a bit odd, but it looked kind of right. It kind of just sort of fit into me. That looks like it was like strengthened up by fences to be some sort of naval ram. And as you can see me now, I'm building what is going to be sort of the stairs towards where the driver is going to be. Now for this, I could have just used fences, but in the end I didn't really want to do that. I wanted to try and do something different. So as you can see here, I've been using spruce wood again, trying to mix it up a little bit. And what I tried to do was use wooden planks to create this sort of makeshift sort of barrier to stop you from going off the edge. And I mixed it up with a bit of fence as well, but as much as I was about to take it down, actually I looked at it and I thought that looks really nice. It really stuck with the theme of what I was going for. Plus it adds that bit of character that you do look for in certain builds. Now for the next part, the ship obviously needs sails, and a sail can't be put on anything. It needs, I should know the word for this but I don't, but basically I'm going to put in 3 massive spruce log poles on the ship, which is where the sails are going to be held. And in terms of shape and size, I have never really done much before, so looking occasionally on Google images for inspiration of other pirate ships, they always seem to have 3 or 4 in some cases. I couldn't fit 4, so I decided to put 3 towers in, as you can see here. The middle one, I thought, what I've seen in photos, is normally the longest, so that's what I do. And right now you can see that I'm doing the same with the logs, but I'm doing them diagonally. Again, you're probably thinking, wow, you're really braving out with diagonals. Well, because throughout all the ship's scene, it doesn't have to face forward, and as much as if I did that, it would be a bit boring. So I thought maybe mixing up with diagonals might be actually quite good for the build. And as you can see here, they are docked in at the dock, so the sails won't be completely down. So what I did was, instead, I just sort of made them look like they're sort of rolled up and look ready to release the sails when they set sail again. I used white wool for this, and oddly enough in the texture pack it has sort of a white edged barrier, so for those of you wondering why the white wool looks like that, that's the John Smith texture pack for you. So for the middle one I made it 6 wide, the middle part, while the first, the one closest to the driver's seat, I made only 5 length the diagonal bit, and with the last one, which is the smallest one, I only made it 4. If you can notice, I've put slabs on the top of where the wood logs are, and I put stairs along them as well, just to give sort of the poles, the sideway poles on the top, a little bit more of a depth. Right now, I kind of always wanted to put this in because it just appeals to the fantasy of me being a pirate, was a crow's nest. Now for those of you who don't know what that is, basically it's sort of the outlook point on the tallest point of the ship, which someone can climb up to and they get a good overview of the battlefield or where they go in, that sort of thing. And as you can see right now, it's a little bit messed up in terms of design, but I do make it up to be a lot more better, as you'll see in a minute. Now here we are inside the cabin here, and I wanted to quickly just show you what type of wood I was going to be using. I was using spruce wood, and basically this area is going to be full for cargo, cannons, because every ship's got to have cannons, it's just fact, and for where the actual crew is going to sleep. Now once I place the dispensers, which is going to be what the cannons look like, I placed slabs over the cannon holes and slabs in between them. Not slabs, sorry, trapdoors, because a lot of people use them for like window shutters or just for any decoration, and as much as I feel I did right, they actually look really good. So I did add them in the end, and they worked well. So you can see me placing a ladder on both sides to get them up. Now we come back to the main part of the ship. As you can see, it's really taken shape and really becoming something really amazing. But one thing I did notice is that you need some sort of ropage to climb up to the sails and set them free, you know, like you see in the films and stuff. However, again, Minecraft being very blocky orientated, it's really hard to sort of get them into that shape. So unfortunately I had to use fences, and to the best of my abilities I think I did okay, but I don't think I do them as proud as I would like to. So I basically did as best as I could. I used for the main, obviously the main sail I made it very wide, but for the other ones I only made it 2 fences wide. I thought it would again add a bit of depth and character to it, and from a distance they do look very good. When you get close up you can see the fault obviously, but they do look very good in my eyes anyway. So once I did that, I joint fences just on over the barrier because I feel like they should attach a little bit more better to the actual ship, and again it just stuck for me much more better. I added some lamps on the actual stems to add some sort of lighting to the actual ship. And then lastly, I placed some random chests and workbenches just around, just to make it look like it's a bit more of a busier place. Now this part in the middle was quite interesting because as much as I've seen in the films as well of Pirates of the Caribbean, they always had like sort of a, you could say sort of a door, like a cargo door to keep, you know, take cargo out of. I tried to use trap doors, but they didn't exactly work for me, so instead I used fences. And so here we are, the final look at the ship. As you can see, it looks magnificent. I love it. It looks fantastic. I mean, just look at, I've had some couple of banners in to sort of go with sort of a theme of factions, as I do plan to put that in there. You can see the sails there, all sort of tied up, ready to be unleashed when it hit the sails, hit the winds. The crow's nest at the top I altered a little bit, but I think that looks fantastic. I also placed a couple of cannons on each side on the top lap, and in the cargo of course, so it adds up to 18 cannons overall, which is very good. And there we go back to the marketplace where they're going to be having a couple more ships in. It's looking much more alive now. And here's the lighthouse in all its glory, which is going to guide even more ships in. So yes, thank you for watching this episode of Creation Station. I'm glad you liked it. I'm getting very much into this now, very much so actually. I've only literally just finished this episode and I really want to do more. I'm feeling very eager to do more anyway. So tell me what you think. I'd love to hear if the ship is up to your standards or the lighthouse is. And I need to ask you a question. I haven't given a ship a name, and everyone knows a ship without a name is bad luck. So please put in the comments what you think the ship should be called. I'd love to hear what you've got to say about it. And names for any other ships, because I plan to do more. So if you guys like the series and want to see more, please click the like button, drop a comment and subscribe. It means a lot to me. See you guys later. Bye bye.